Hello, today I'll be playing a 25NL session on America's Card Room. The purpose of this video is to show you how automatic poker works and to highlight the tools that we use to improve. Here is a sample portion of the core chart that my students use when first starting out with the strategy. The cells are blank here, but the full version, which is available to core members at automaticpoker.com, are set up to provide all of the ranges you need to get started playing fundamentally sound poker. I basically give you everything right here in one concise chart for both pre-flop and post-flop. So I'll just play a quick session here to show you how powerful this is as a learning tool and how buying in for a 30 or 40 big blind stack simplifies decisions, creates lower SPRs, and makes learning cash games much easier. And to get a free version of this strategy, I'll put a link in the description and a link above as well. I give it as a free gift to anyone that signs up for my newsletter. So let's go ahead and sit down at some tables and get started. At the beginner and intermediate stage of learning, we should not be overcomplicating things. Instead, I recommend focusing on the fundamentals of poker, which of course I laid out in my book back in 2012. These fundamentals have allowed me to never have a losing month, and in fact, if a player focuses on nothing but the fundamentals, he'll be able to beat any table of opponents who are violating those fundamentals. So this easy to follow chart ensures that you are following the core fundamentals while you're going through the learning process. The repetition, like over thousands and thousands of hands, it'll allow you to build a solid foundation in poker from which to build from. Of course, I also have an elite course, which is a direct continuation of this core strategy. So, once you gain skill and are ready for more advanced concepts and everything, I'll have you covered on that as well. Now the full version of this chart will tell you exactly what to do in virtually every situation you can face in poker. The course also has more than 40 lessons that explain exactly how to implement the strategy and also cover any gray areas that you might face during play. Now some of these plays that I make may not seem standard, but this is the core strategy. And the main purpose is to avoid a lot of the complicated situations that we create for ourselves, situations that aren't necessarily hugely profitable, like calling with the Jack-10, for example, right there in the big blind, or King-Queen there in the small blind. Those hands would have us playing out of position. And while we might certainly want to play those hands once we gain more skill, doing it right off the bat or as a beginner or intermediate just overcomplicates things a lot of times. So while it is a fairly tight strategy, it's basically exactly what the title of the strategy is. It's the core strategy. It's what you do if you don't have any other reads, you don't know what to do. It's like the most basic way to stick to the fundamentals and play a winning style of poker basically right off the bat from when you first start playing. And based on over 10 years of doing this stuff and teaching people and having this strategy in place, I've found that it can instantly pretty much turn losers into winners and winners into big winners. It all depends on your background in poker, of course. If you come into this if you're a slight winner or a big winner in poker, it's going to make you potentially an even bigger winner in poker. And while we're having a little bit of downtime here at the tables, I'll go ahead and just show you this graph where I took basically the exact charts that you'll get in the core strategy. Of course, they have been improved a little bit since then, but this is a beta test where I had several students. These are just normal people. These are beginner intermediate players. These aren't advanced players. and just normal players without extensive backgrounds in poker, and they tested it over varying sample sizes, but I combined all their hands. They provided all their hands that they played together, and this is what the graph looked like when they were done. Now, you know, considering they were just following a chart and basically just adhering to it as closely as possible, I mean, look how powerful it is just to play fundamentally sound poker, a tight strategy at the micro stakes, and it's just, I mean, you can win, and it's not even a heavy lift, right? Anybody can go to my website, sign up for my core strategy, and start playing using my charts, go through the lessons, and start beating the micro stakes. Of course, your mileage will vary. Some people will have more success than others. And, you know, I've had players come to me and say, this doesn't seem to work for me that well. And then I review their play, and they're, for whatever reason, they just pick and choose what parts of my strategy not to implement. I guess they just figure they know better in some spots. But if you just stick to the strategy, be disciplined with it. I still have yet to see somebody that was completely disciplined, follow the strategy, their stats are in line with what the charts say, and have them be losing players. It just does not happen. So to get a few more hands, I've got a fifth table off on the side. I'll just pull it in as necessary. So now I'll just play the session. I'll pause the video when there's no hand to play, and I'll follow the charts as close as possible. I'll just give you an example of how the strategy works and what you can expect it to look like when you're playing. So let's just go over the chart here briefly. The full version will be available, obviously, to core members. But just to give you an idea, the top row here would show opening ranges. So from every position, you know exactly what hands to open at any given time. And I've worked hard to find balanced ranges. They're a little conservative, but they are the core ranges. They're intended to help a player that's either newer or intermediate. It's to basically simplify the entire process. Like, you'll have generally a stronger range going to the flop, and it will just make decisions. It'll avoid some of the complications with some of the marginal hands that make everything so difficult for a newer player. So we don't want to completely avoid those complicated situations, but we do want to keep them to an absolute minimum while avoiding exploitation at the same time, because obviously if we're playing too wide a ranges, we won't know how to react to three bets like that. So that's kind of the purpose of this strategy. It's a kind of a safe strategy, create a safe environment, playing environment, so it's harder to get exploited by regs at the table as well. So, you know, if somebody three bets us and we're not folding enough, that they're going to be able to easily exploit us. And that's kind of where a lot of these ranges came from that I took time to come up with. And of course, the next line is, as a short stack or mid stack, we have the ability to shove over the top of limpers and exploit them. So I give you those ranges as well. So we have the pre-flop strategy, but we also have this post-flop strategy as well. And this is kind of a unique thing in poker teaching. I don't know of anybody else out there doing this, but I basically provide a chart that allows you to separate your hand into various tiers. And depending on which tier hand you have after the flop, you have a different action, a different bet sizing that you'll take. So keeping the fundamentals in mind, having us play in position, aggressively, that's kind of the same basic philosophy for post flop, as we're doing a lot more aggressive actions and a lot fewer passive actions. So we'll pull in a full ring table here as well. Because the strategy, I do have a full ring version of the charts that I provide for people that prefer to play 9 or 10-handed. I'm sticking to the core strategy as closely as possible, because the good thing is it's very easy to memorize this strategy. So just after playing with it maybe just a couple thousand hands, most players should be able to get this memorized fairly quickly. Well, you normally don't see these plays at 25 an L, but get a little bit unlucky here. Delete the damn HUD. Delete the damn HUD. Well, it's a light 3-betting going on. This is not the 25 and L of old. Yeah, this is one of the tougher sites out there. So if you can win on this site, you can pretty much win at the microstakes anywhere. Well, I'll show the graph at the end of this session so we can see what we're doing. I'm curious myself because this has been kind of a little bit of variance this session. Lots of 3-betting going on. I've gotten coolered once or twice. I did cooler that one guy with aces versus kings, but we've been a little bit unlucky in a couple spots, but it's just one session. I have no clue whether I'm up or down. I could be down 2 buy-ins. I could be up 3. I have no clue. Guess it doesn't matter, right? As long as we know we're doing every action is plus EV, we know we're making money over the long term, assuming the players that we're playing against are making mistakes, which, this is 25 and L and it's reg heavy, but I know these guys are making a lot of mistakes. I haven't really seen a limp yet, which for 25 and L, that's pretty crazy, right? Not even one limp. All right, we'll sit out next big blind and call it a session, and we'll pull in our graph and see how we did. All right, so here we go. Turns out we're up about $25 for the session. As you can see, the red line is a nice steady upward trend. Now we did run hot, I think, as far as situations go for this session. I mean, it was only 500 hands. Normally I would expect this strategy to have more of a VPIP in the, I don't know, 16% range or something like that. You know, so we're 21% VPIP for this session. So definitely had a lot of situations where we could get involved. We had a fairly high 3-bet percentage. I would expect this normally to be around, I don't know, 7% or something like that. So yeah, it was a good session just to demonstrate, though, the power of just using good solid fundamentals and just letting pretty much the hands that come to you dictate what you do, and based on an exact strategy that's laid out for you in the charts. So I hope you'll come check out the website, automaticpoker.com. Feel free to sign up for the newsletter while you're there, and I'll send you a free basic strategy that's not going to be quite as elaborate as the one that was used in this video, but it will kind of just give you a taste of what the strategy looks like if you wanted to try it out yourself at, say, 5NL or something like that. So yeah, if you do decide to sign up for the Poker Academy, the core membership can be purchased at automaticpoker.com, and you'll get over 40 lessons just in the core course, but then you'll get access to a couple of other courses. You know, one's career management, and then of course some sample sessions where I use this strategy so you can it'll help you implement it faster. And of course you'll have access, if you keep your membership active, to any ongoing core content that I add down the road. And also the most important part of signing up for the Academy is you get full access to the forum. And the core forum, you can ask any questions you want. It's pretty much, I mean, you're paying for the membership, which costs a shockingly low amount of money compared to other training sites out there. But you get full access to me and other coaches and other members of the Automatic Poker community that have experience that will be glad to answer any questions you have. So yeah, just the coaching itself and the free help on the forum is well worth more than the price of the membership. So thanks for watching. Good luck at the tables.